This is an orchestra and a concert hall and an audience that doesn't deserve anything less but the greatest. That is why next season I am delighted to say that we have guests like Yo-Yo Ma, Itzhak Perlman, the San Francisco Symphony, Sir James Galway, Emanuel Ax, and the list goes on and on. Opening night with Old Gershwin is great. Having pianist Kevin Cole, who in my opinion is probably the greatest Gershwin interpreter, is a wonderful opportunity to hear Gershwin the way Gershwin is supposed to be performed. The Metropolis Symphony of Michael Dougherty. I was a huge Superman fan growing up. And this is a piece that, I'm a good friend of Michael, and he's a wonderful composer currently teaching at the University of Michigan. But this is a piece that combines pop culture and classical music in a way that I think very few composers are able to achieve. Yo-Yo Ma's visit to Nashville, which to begin with, he's going to be here not for one night, but he's going to be here for 3 consecutive nights. We have somewhat of a program that combines his Silk Road project. We're doing a couple of pieces that kind of showcase that project with a composer from Uzbekistan and a composer from China. But the second half has a more standard piece with Richard Strauss' tone poem, Don Quixote. And growing up in Costa Rica, and as a high school student, we all had to read Don Quixote. It was mandatory reading, so I grew up with that. And that piece is perfect for that program because it not only showcases Yo-Yo Ma's artistry on the cello, but it combines the musicians from our own orchestra, in this case the principal violist, who will be doing the part of Sancho Panza, and our concertmaster, who will be doing the part of Dulcinea. So I think this is a perfect piece not only to showcase one of the great artists of classical music, but also be able to showcase our local talent and really what makes the Nashville Symphony special, and that is the musicians of the orchestra. We have one program that is dedicated to another one of those great additions to Symphony Center, and that's our wonderful new organ. In December of 2008, we're showcasing the new organ with a performance of the Copland Symphony for organ and orchestra, which will really test the boundaries of the acoustics of this hall and the wonderful resonance that that piece requires. We have a program of Viennese music, but it's not the usual Viennese music that most people think about. When you think Vienna, you usually think Beethoven, Mozart, Haydn, Schubert. But I'm doing what I like to think of like the other side of Vienna with Johann Strauss Jr. He's probably the most popular Viennese composer with his hundreds of waltzes and polkas. And I'm doing one in particular called Wiener Blut, or means Vienna blood, and really showcases life in Vienna. And you have to remember that Strauss was indeed considered almost a rock star in his time. But in that program, I am showcasing the Bruckner Symphony No. 7, and Anton Bruckner, during his day job, was that as an organist at the Linz Cathedral. So his music is very big and luscious, and that was one of those pieces that I needed to make sure that had to be in the season because, again, it was a great way of showcasing the acoustics of Schermerhorn Symphony Center. And to put those two pieces together, I went into the second Viennese school and the music of Alban Berg. And as I was mentioning at some time, he's one of those composers of the 20th century that started going a little bit on the side when it came to harmonies, but he was able to grab what was known as the 12-tone technique, which was really pushed on by Arnold Schoenberg, and use it in a more romantic way. And in this case, it's a very moving piece. It is called To the Death of an Angel. It's dedicated to the daughter of Alma Mahler's, who was the widow of Gustav Mahler. So it is a very touching personal piece that combines some of the very popular orchestral writing and techniques of the early part of the 20th century, the mid part of the 20th century. And for that program, we have a wonderful Canadian violinist, James Ennis, with whom I've had the pleasure of working with before. And it's going to be, in my opinion, one of those very moving moments in our season. Mozart Requiem is up at the top of my list as well. I adore choral music and opera, anything that has to do with the combination of voice and text and music. And like many of our audience members, I fell in love with the Mozart Requiem in the movie Amadeus. And we all know what happened, that he was not able to finish the piece, and somebody else did. But not only have I enjoyed my work with the Nashville Symphony, but I've also really enjoyed my work with the Nashville Symphony Chorus and its conductor, George Mabry, who I think does a fantastic job. I cannot wait for next season to begin because of the music that has been put in there. It really has gone through all this great process of elimination to make it into the season. And there's a big part of me that just is itching inside to perform this music. One of my greatest joys and passions has been to get to know a lot of these composers personally, and through getting to know them, I have come to appreciate and understand their music and see what it is that they're trying to achieve. And in many ways, the way that composers are pushing the envelope, orchestras are following along. And I think in that regard, they are continuing to enhance the history of orchestral writing. And 200 years from now, I know that the Nashville Symphony will be looked at as one of those very important venues that allowed for classical music, and particularly for American music, to keep going forward and making sure that it's an art that is never lost, but is always nurtured.